Be bold. Be brave. Be extraordinary. Be vulnerable. Be real. Be curious. Be true. Be you. Welcome to Trusting Your Gut with world-class energy intuitive Catherine McIntosh, a show designed to awaken you to enjoy the process of evolving, have fun along the way, and learn to listen to those silent in-between moments. You are the expert of your own life, and nobody knows more about the next steps to take in your journey than you. So please, listen to your gut and discover what's waiting for you to explore. Here is your host, Catherine McIntosh.
All right, everybody, welcome. Just adjusting my thing. All right, so today, new year, new you. We are going to talk about some things that may be beneficial to you in this new year. And usually when we start something new, we get excited, right? We kind of go, I'm going to do it this time. This is going to be it. And I wanted to offer just a different perspective today, maybe a softer version, so that you can use this time right now in the beginning of a brand new year to get really clear. And there are some things that I've been doing for the last year that have really made a huge difference in my life, in my business, in my relationships, in my parenting, and kind of everything in between. It's also made a huge difference in my body. I've, slimmed down, but not intentionally. But what I did was I got really clear and I set intentions for myself, not from a place of I'm going to make this much money, or I'm going to live in this house, or I'm going to set these goals for my business. I'd been doing that for the last decade, and last year kind of did something different. And Einstein says, like, if you want something different, stop doing the same thing over and over again. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about what could be beneficial to you in the new year. And if you are just joining us for the first time ever, welcome to the show. I've been doing this for a little bit. I want to say close to 9 months, maybe. I'm not really 100% sure, but if you are new, and I'm an intuitive, my business, kind of function as an intuitive consultant, and everyone always asks, like, what does that mean? I'm like, well, I can see the unseen energies in sort of any situation. So I've been hired for court cases, for divorces. I've worked with business contracts. I've worked with, childhood trauma, or if you're just in a phase of life where something isn't quite working, and no matter what you seem to do, it's not moving the needle forward in a direction that is serving you. And so I go in and kind of look at the energies and offer a different perspective. And so I, allow live callers if you have a question pertinent to your life, to your business, to your relationships, to your physical health. And I'm able to kind of intuitively download information for you. So if that feels like something you want to do, is hop on the show, call in live and ask a question, you are welcome to do so. We do take live callers. And so don't be shy if that's you. But let's get into this idea of a new year, new you, and what really you might be able to do moving forward that could be different, that you could start implementing and instituting in your life to move the needle forward in a different direction. And so I know a lot of people, they, do their vision boards. That's great. They do their targets. That's great. But I want to offer something really different, or at least that I think is a little different. And so when I started to shift things in my world, what I started to do is set an intention for my head and set an intention for my heart. And I really worked on getting my heart and my head on the same plane, in the same energy. And the point is when you sort of desire something that really opens your world or gets you excited, your heart physically can enlarge. And when it enlarges, it's a great idea to get the head and the heart on the same plane. So I believe Dr. Joe Dispenza calls it heart and head congruency, or he says something, but he's incredible. If you haven't checked him out, you go check out Dr. Joe Dispenza. But this idea for me is, instead of a target for business, instead of a target for my personal life or a target for my parenting, what I've been doing lately is setting targets of how do I want to feel. And so, as we begin a new year, you might want to ask yourself this question: grab a journal, pen and paper, write it down, and be like, how do you want this year to feel? What are the feelings you want to have? What are the experiences you want to have? And if you can kind of realize, what are your values? What do you value? Do you value toxic people? Do you value trauma and drama? Do you value judging your body? You want to look at, like, what are the things that are going through your head every day? And those are the things that you value. And so sometimes, until we take stock on our life, we might realize that we're valuing things that are not contributing to the greatest version of ourselves every day. And so you want to look at, like, okay, like, I made some intentions. I don't want to have toxic people in my life anymore. I am done with the trauma and drama. I want to feel alive. I want to feel inspired, and then values. It's like, what are my values? So you want to write on this piece of paper, how do you want to feel this year? What are the experiences that you want to have? And then write them down. And anything goes. And so maybe this year is the year of adventure. Maybe this year is the year you say yes to you and taking care of you and self care. And I believe self care is so important. In the world that we live in today, and labels are being tossed around all the time. I'm an empath, I'm sensitive, I'm intuitive, and for a lot of my life I attracted people who tended to be self-oriented, selfish. But there's a difference between being selfish and wanting to make the world a better place. And then there's the selfish, where all you're interested in is you. And so I'm not talking about the second version of selfish. I'm talking about the first version, where maybe you're invited to do something that doesn't really feel good to you, but you feel bad, so you say yes. Those are the things that you want to start to shift in your life. Like, what is self-care to you? All right. It's important for me, as much as I possibly can, to get outside in nature. And I'm a big skier, live in Aspen, Colorado, fortunate to call Aspen home. And I value getting outside for an hour. I don't go skiing all day. I go skiing for an hour, and just being out in nature, being out in the fresh air, being on top of the mountain, connecting with friends, or, going by myself and listening to an audio. Those are things that I really value. So I value things that bring me peace, right? I value making an impact in the world. I value joy and being in integrity with myself and my life. And so, as you begin this new year, most people want to sort of start the new year opening the floodgates of, like, go, 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 right? And might sneeze. Excuse me. Excuse me. There we go. So, but we might start, like, putting pressure on ourselves to, start a new diet plan, or eat cleaner, or maybe hit the gym, or start doing more yoga, or maybe you want to begin a phew, whoa. Maybe you want to begin a meditation class. And um or just a meditation practice. And all of those are good. But what I think is so important this time right now, and where the energies are on the planet, is actually to take time to rest, to take time to contemplate, to take time to journal and reflect and discover what is it that you are going to value this year. Sorry, I didn't mean for my nose to start running, but what is it you're going to value this year? What are you going to value about you? And when you begin to realize that maybe you've been valuing, looking at the wrongness in your life, maybe you've been valuing fixing. And, about a year ago, I realized that I was going to give up my fixer. I was going to give up my people pleaser. I was going to give up caring what other people thought about my choices in my life. And so maybe those are some things that you resonate with that will set the tone for the next year of your life. Because, so often we say, oh, we're not ready. And I always say this, you can never be ready. You can only be willing, right? There is this, I think, a big lie in the world that we have to be more prepared than we are. But it's like, if not now, when? If not now, what are you waiting for? And you'll find that if you ask yourself, excuse me, what you're waiting for, you might realize that the reasons or justifications that you have for waiting are just excuses, right? They might be reasons they that support you being scared or support the lie that you're not ready. And I teach this online course called the Intuitive Energy Course, and it's for any one who is interested in furthering their knowledge and energy work. It's for anyone who might already be a practitioner, or for people who are curious about how they can use energy work in their life to better their life, maybe to start a career. And in that course, it's about paying attention to these small subtle shifts. And so when we begin to listen to our internal world, what that does is it balances our nervous system. It lowers our cortisol levels. And I think it's not talked about enough that if you want to change your life, one of the quickest ways to do that is to start to develop practices that help you lower your cortisol levels. So if you are a female, especially female, but this also applies to men as well, if you have high cortisol levels, it usually means you have a hard time gaining or losing weight, no matter how hard you try to change your eating habits or your physical health fitness habits. If your cortisol levels are spiked high, it will keep weight on. It will slow the metabolism down. It will keep the body in fight or flight. And when the body's in fight or flight, most of your systems in your body that help regulate your life, that help your heart do what it's meant to do, that help your head do what it's meant to do, that help your blood flow and your organs work and all your organs communicate with each other. When those cortisol levels are high, when you are in constant fight or flight, it's really challenging to have your body work at its optimal. And so for all of you out there, this new year, new you, I want to invite you for the first, week or two to maybe take some time to rest. Maybe take some time to find peace. Maybe take some time to research how you can lower your cortisol levels. I actually have a free download on my website that are simple somatic exercises you can do to lower your cortisol levels to get you out of fight or flight. And the benefits of what that does is truly phenomenal. And so when you do that, right, it can increase your metabolism. It can allow your organs to function properly. It can get your hormones balanced or recalibrated. It can clear your brain fog. It can give you more energy. If you've been struggling with trying to heal a health issue in your body, like an autoimmune deficiency or an autoimmune disease, when you get yourself out of fight or flight, your body can finally begin to do the things that it needs to do to heal. So I want to invite you this year to not rush into, right, trying to force yourself into action if your heart and your head are not congruent. And so, what would it be like if you started to have a conversation with your head? What's your head's intention for your day today, right? What do you want to let go of? What do you want to energize? What do you want to invite into your life, right? And just take a moment, right? Right now, as you're listening, what is your head's intention for your day today? Right? So mine is to be kind to myself. And I just asked, and that's what showed up. And so usually, first thought, best thought. I run into so many people that they're like, oh, I had this thing that came into my life and it was as if by magic and it was so easy. And then I doubted it because I thought it needed to be harder. Here's the deal: when you get your head and your heart in alignment with each other, when they start to create a relationship where they sort of feed off of each other and contribute to each other and nurture each other, things will start to show up in your life that are already on your wish list. So go ahead and grab a pen and paper and write down like what you want to create this year. What are your targets in your business, and what are your targets in your relationships in your personal life, and what are your targets for parenting and your health and your fitness? Like, write those down, get clear. And then you want to look at, are your values in alignment? Are your actions in alignment? Is your heart and your head in alignment? And so I adopted over a decade ago this concept called the no judgment diet. And it was for people who have spent most of their life struggling with their physical body, specifically women who've always spent their lives yo yo dieting, trying to lose weight. They lose it, they gain it back. And then they just like internally struggle and don't feel beautiful and feel like their body is something that has always been sort of this unsolvable mystery that they carry around that they don't feel good in, right? And so I came up with this concept based on my own life experience of having that. And what I realized is you can't go on a health regimen, right? And change your body and still feel like you're not enough, right? You can't change your physical, connection to you and hate yourself at the same time. And so, what we have to address more so than any action we will take, if our head and our heart are not on the same page and not on the same plane and not living in the same universe, it's going to be really hard to create the life you say you want to have. And so, what I've realized is when you focus on your internal game, how do you feel? How do you want to feel? And if you don't feel good, how do you get there quickly? Not by force, right? Usually we get to feeling good by letting go, by allowing, by finding this rest and relaxation and surrender inside of us. That's how you learn to begin to integrate this head and heart. So you've got your intention for your head. Now you're going to go to your heart. Hello, sweet, beautiful being. I miss you. You're going to go to your heart, and on your heart, you're going to ask, okay, so right now, today, this moment, doesn't matter where in the world you are, if you're just waking up or you're getting ready for bed, what is the intention of your heart? Right? And so the answer I heard, first thought, best thought, go with what is easy, my friends, right? What I heard is to live full out, right? To live full out, to be present. And so when you get that head and that heart on the same plane, and then you start looking at what do you want to create? Okay. So maybe you want to create a business that you can work from anywhere in the world and still be a stay at home mom and take care of your kids. Maybe you want to create relationships in your life. And it could be an intimate relationship, but it also could just be like you want really good friends in your life that make you feel better about who you are. I have a really, really close friend. I would do absolutely anything for this person. And her and I got to spend some really quality time together this weekend. And we both shed tears and we laughed and we danced, and we cried and we hugged. And, we talked like really, like just got deep with each other. And it was such a beautiful experience. And, it was like that. I want more of that in my life. And so it doesn't matter, but so I can look at, okay, I want more intimacy in my life. Friendships, relationships, maybe an intimate other. I want more intimacy with my son, right? And our relationship together. And it's been happening. And so if my head and my heart aren't on the same page, kind of hard to be able to attract what I'm asking for. And so the goal, I think, and I want to invite you to consider this as a possibility for your life moving forward. How do you want to feel this year? You want to feel connected? Do you want to feel inspired? Do you want to feel engaged? Do you want to feel healthy in your body and your spirit and your soul? Right? And so then you have to look at, okay, cool. Now that your heart and your head are in alignment, now that you're clear on how you want to feel, now that you're clear on the values that are important to you that you are going to add into your life this year, then you can start to write out your dream list, right? And then you want to go, cool. When I look at my dream list, when my heart and my head are congruent, how does that feel? Right? Feels alive, feels easy. And so I will tell you that it's quite easy. Now, I'll warn you, I've heard Dr. Joe Dispenza talk about this for a long time. I had the great fortune of spending a week long, right, retreat with him in Cancun about a year and a half ago. And I remember him talking about this head and heart congruence. And I was like, yeah, 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 whatever, Dr. Joe, right? Like, sure, I'll meditate. Sure, I'll try and get there. And it's been in the last few months that I'm feeling it every day. And so this practice for me has been opening my heart, right, to the point of, am I okay? Am I happy with who I am choosing to be every day? And if not, what do I need to shift and change? And so once you write that list of your dream list of the things you want to create, then you can add what are the actions I need to take. So we'll get a little bit more into the specifics after we break. And before we do go on a break, I have an announcement, which is pretty exciting. What I've been doing this show, I guess, going on maybe 9 months. I'd have to ask the producers, but showing up every week live with all of you, whether you're listening live, catching us live online, or you're listening to it after the fact. Want you to listen to this from a place of what in you can you get on board with saying yes to open your heart to say yes to life. Because isn't the target not to compare, what clothes or brands you wear, not to look at what car you drive, not to look at, I live in Aspen and there's a lot of planes that come in. There were a lot of famous people that were here over the holidays, and it was fun to run into them on the streets or just see that they were here. It's not about that. What really makes an alive life is, are you satisfied at the end of the day? Because I can tell you, I've worked with a lot of people in pretty fascinating, who've created fascinating lives for themselves, and they still feel like they're missing something, right? I love it. So a couple people say like their targets for the year to feel empowered with courage and faith, right? Yes, that, right? And then someone else, Maria, says, my special word for this year is joy, right? And so I love that, Maria, because if it doesn't bring you joy, if it doesn't make your heart sing, then perhaps not necessarily you have to let go of it, but perhaps you need to look at it differently. So I have been working on liking doing my taxes, liking working with my bookkeeper and my accountant, because I will tell you, for the last 11, 12 plus years of having a bookkeeper and an accountant, I have not loved the experience. And I cannot say that it has been joyful. And so I made a commitment this year. How can I make these experiences joyful? And what I realized for me personally, even though I've, done well for myself, I've been able to live in Aspen and raise an 11-year-old and put him in the most amazing experiences and have the most amazing experiences that I could ask for. My experience of bookkeeping and accounting has never been pleasant. And I realized that I had a lot of shame around my finances, even though I make as much as I do, even though I've been able to do what I do. And I'm literally looking at it right now for the very first time. I've had a lot of shame around being able to spend my money with joy. I've had a lot of shame around how much I make, right? And I didn't realize that. And so when we work with the energies that are keeping us from our values, joy, courage, faith, inspiration, right? Connection, engagement, right? Integrity, what allowance, whatever it is for you, if what's underneath the surface, like shame, like fear, like feelings of wrongness, or like you're never good enough, those are the places to start. And it's not so much about needing to dig to the bottom of the barrel. Right? We don't always have to dig into our shit. Sometimes we need to rewire our habits and rewire our neurotransmitters and rewire our brain and our vagus nerve and our thymus and our thyroid to go, oh, that's just a bad habit. And so now I'm going to, right, my bad habit of hating bookkeeping and accounting, change it. New year, new me, change it to a new habit. How do I do that? How am I going to find peace with bookkeeping and accounting? Oh, every time shame comes up, I'm actually going to have gratitude for the fact that I get to, right? I get to have a bookkeeper, an accountant, instead of I have to have one because I have a business. Very different energy. So we will dive a little bit deeper into the logistics, but that's a good start. So don't go anywhere. And oh, by the way, before I break, and I'll announce it again before the break, is we are going to be doing this show now every Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time, which is 8. Let's see, let me go 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. No, sorry, noon. Oh my gosh, where's my brain? Noon Mountain Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central European Time. We will be live every Wednesday. We're changing the show from Mondays to Wednesdays. So look out for it noon on Wednesdays. And if you miss the live show, you can always catch us on the replay. We're on Facebook, we're on social media, on iHeartRadio, on Om Times Radio, which is where this is being streamed. And we just want to thank you for being here with us for the last 9-ish months. And I can't wait to see what this next year has in store. So stay tuned. We'll get into some more logistics. Thanks for being here, and we'll be right back.
Om Times TV.
Do you trust you? Do you trust your body? What if the key to unlocking the weight, pain, suffering, fear, anxiety, addictions, traumas, and sorrows was already inside of you? Learn to love the skin you are in so you can create the body, business, and life you love. Everyone always says you can't explain what Catherine does, you just have to experience it. From Hollywood actors to New York Times best-selling authors to some of the world's wealthiest and most successful, no two experiences are the same. For private sessions, online courses, live events, and the latest book Jack Canfield calls Game Changer and should be required reading for everyone, go to katherinemcintosh.com. KatherineMcintosh.com.
Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
All right, my friends. So welcome back from break. Thank you for being here, for listening, for tuning in. So we will be shifting this show starting next week, right, to Wednesdays, every Wednesday. So next Monday won't be here. We're going to start next Wednesday, noon Mountain Standard Time, right, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central European Time. And yeah, we're going to continue the show. Just look for me at a different day, different time. And as always, I'm so grateful that you listen. If this show inspires you, I want to invite you to share this, right? Pass it on, subscribe to the channel, follow us, tune in live. And as you know, I do take live callers. I am an intuitive consultant. I have been working on my abilities to just kind of read the unseen energies, and it's allowed me to have life experiences that I'm really grateful that I get to call this adventure my life. And if you want to call in and ask a live question, happy to download for you information. I always tell people I work with, I sometimes don't always know if I'm downloading this information, and I don't know if it's from the past, the present, or the future, but I always allow people to filter it through their own sort of knowing and their own awareness and their own intuition. And so the way that our intuition works is, if what you hear when you hear it, whether it's having a conversation with a friend, or asking a boss for a raise, or needing to, I don't know, move cities or change careers, if what you are looking at expands your heart, expands your energy, allows you to kind of go, has this like peace quality to it, that's a clue that is your intuition, like whispering to you, yes. And in contrast, if you feel when you hear information, you contract, you sort of retreat internally, maybe you close down your shoulders, maybe you clench your jaw, maybe it feels like you got hit in the gut, right? Punched in the gut. Those are clues. This contraction energy is a clue that what you're looking at might not be best. And that's your intuition kind of whispering to you, no, this might not be the right choice. And I bet we can all look at examples from our life where we did not listen to our guts, right? This is why this radio show is called Trusting Your Gut. Right? Are you following those little internal moments of expansion? And expansion can feel a lot like space. And sometimes we ignore space, right? It's a lot easier to look at I used to teach classes all around the world. And in the very beginning, when this was new to me, I would focus on the heaviest energy in the room. I'd want to lift that person up. Well, guess what? You start focusing on the heaviest energy in the room, eventually everyone starts to, right, lower their vibration. And then I'd have to work hard once I worked on the hardest vibration or hardest person or hardest, energy in the room. Then I had to work really hard to raise everyone. Well, it's a lot easier to go with the lightest energy in the room, but sometimes the lightest energy is so much space that we ignore it or don't pay attention to it. Right. I was listening to someone a while ago and they said, I realized a long time ago that I used to only pay attention to my children when they were whining. So they learned to whine a lot. And I'm like, oh my God, talk about great parenting advice. If you want to raise a conscious kid, encourage them in the moments when they're being spaced, when they're not bugging you, when they are happy, when they are joyous. Don't just give them attention when they're being maybe a pain in your world, right? Cool. Um, yeah. So if we can take that forward, if you want to bring her on and answer. It's a great question. Um, so you let me know when we're ready. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool, the experience that we go through in this life, because we're here to pay attention to the space. We're here to pay attention to the lightness. Yeah.
Press the pound key to listen to
Perfect.
information.
Okay, cool. So Julia, are you on?
Hello, Catherine, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. So you've got a question. I'm gonna read it, and then if you have any more information, you can say it. But she's asking, how do we know if we have ended a chapter with a relationship, and if the new year is a good time to do it? Well, here's that's a great question, Julia. And relationships can always be a little bit confusing. And I love that you're asking because it is a vulnerable question to, put our hearts out there. And, I
Mhm.
want to be really kind to you in this because the here's an answer that you might not want to hear, but there's no wrong choice as to ending a relationship or not ending a relationship,
Mhm.
right? And so if you rush ending a relationship, so when you look at wanting to end it, what are your reasons for wanting to end the relationship?
Mm, the main reason is that I know I cannot build a future with this person.
Okay, great. So my favorite question to ask is hey universe, I guess it's not a question, it's more of like a demand is like, hey universe, ping
Mhm.
me, ping me, like ping, right? Like give me a little signal when it's the right time. And here's what happens is
Mm,
our awareness will usually signal information to us, but sometimes it takes our physical body, our hearts, our heads to get on the same page. Right. So, like earlier before the break, I talked about getting your head and getting your heart on the same page. And so,
mhm.
is your heart and is your head, when looking at this relationship, if it doesn't have a future, is your head and your heart on the same page yet?
No, they have never been.
Yeah. And so right, and so she's like, "They've never been on the same page, so how do you get on the same page?" So my question to you, Julia, instead of trying to get your heart and head on the same page when it comes to breaking up, what would it be like to get your heart and your head on the same page in terms of knowing what you deserve,
Mhm.
right? And so
Right.
So you might be aware that this relationship needs to change. And, whenever we end something, it's never easy, but it does make space for new, right? Because you
Mhm.
can't really get into the relationship of your dreams if you're hanging on to Mr. Not Right. So, my question to you is, why do you keep hanging on to Mr. Not Right if you know he's not right for you?
Mhm.
Do you believe you deserve a Mr. Right?
At some level, I think I don't believe it 100%. Yes.
Exactly. And so when we don't, and this is a perfect example is what I was talking about before the break. If we don't believe we're going to deserve it, so Julia, you could go up and break up with Mr. Not Right, and guess what you're going to attract? Another Mr.
Another
Not
one.
Right.
Oh
So
gosh. Yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
the focus isn't on when should I end this relationship? The focus should be,
Mm,
how do I get congruent with my heart and my head to know that I deserve what I want? I deserve a partner that
yeah.
matches me. I deserve a partner who sees me. I deserve a partner who wants a future with me. And I will tell you from experience, is when you get your head and your heart in alignment, you will attract the right person. And it might not be the first time, you might not, but you might, right? And so, working on ourselves to believe that we deserve it is going to be the first step. And so, I want to
Yeah.
invite you, Julia, to, instead of looking of how to fix what you think is wrong right now, what I want you to focus
Mhm.
on is this idea of, what if you right now, today, are enough for what you want in your life?
Yes, the only reason I asked you this question, Catherine, is because I knew this. When we are getting ready for a new year, we need to make sure that we close the door to the past. But sometimes, yeah, we are looking in the wrong direction and we should ask different questions.
Correct. But also and also sometimes when we're aware that we need to make a different choice, we'll try to force ourselves into action, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's not yet time for the action. So let me give you an example from my life. About 9 years ago, I was dating someone, fell in love with them after leaving, separating from my husband and us going through a separation and then a divorce. And I was with this man for a while and I really loved him. And at some point, I knew that it wasn't going to go anywhere. I knew that it was what it needed to be for the time that it needed to be. And I knew that we needed to end things. But I also knew that it wasn't time to force it. And so, what I said to the universe, and this is my favorite phrase to use for anything. All right, universe, make it obvious, make it easy, make it fun and let me know when the right time was. So about a month went by, maybe 6 weeks. I don't remember. It was 9 years ago, long time ago. And he came to me and he's like, "Hey, I know we've kind of been on and off in our relationship, and I want you to know I've met someone. I'm so grateful for you, and I'll always be here if you need anything, but I'm going to move in a new direction." And I said, "I wish you nothing but the best." Right? So the universe took care of it for me. Right? So what we wanna do is you might be aware that it's time, and you also might be scared, which is normal. So don't force just because it's a new year, and this was part of what I wanted to say today, is sometimes we get hard on ourselves or we force ourselves into action before we're ready to take action. When it's the right time, it will feel easy. When it's the right time, it will feel like an exhale. When it's the right time, your nervous system will feel at peace with your choice.
Mm.
And so, what if until you realize now the right time could be today, it might be tomorrow, it might be in a few days, it might be in a month. You don't
Mhm.
know. But what's more important than figuring out the right time is in the meantime, focus on knowing that you deserve and you are enough to have the life that you want to have. And if you can get your head and your heart in alignment, by the way, you all want to do this. If you can get your head and your heart in alignment and on the same page, it will change your life and the right time. It'll be easy. It'll be obvious. It'll be fun. It won't be forced. There won't be any trauma and drama. And you will be able to move on. And then also, you'll be in a place more prepared to receive closer to what you really want, but you'll never get it until you believe that you can have it.
Thanks so much for sharing your story. It's really inspiring.
You're so welcome. I appreciate you calling in and I wish you nothing but the best. For all of you out there in relationship, no matter where your relationship is, stop focusing on what the other person is or isn't doing and start focusing on how you want to feel in your head and your heart. So, Julia, thanks for your call today. So appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're
Me too. I
welcome.
do appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm wishing you nothing but heart and love and joy in 2024, and that goes for all of you, right? When you start
Thank
to
you.
focus, you're welcome, Julia. When you start to focus on your head and focus on your heart and get them aligned and know that you are enough, you are worthy. There's 3 core wounds that we all function from, right? I'm not enough. I'm not lovable, and I'm not worthy. And if we can eradicate those 3 core wounds out of our universe, now that doesn't mean they're not going to show up. They're going to be knee-jerk reactions. They're in your blood from your DNA and from the, past lives that are still in your DNA. Sometimes we are acting out on our ancestral wounds that we don't even know. But when you begin to align your head and your heart, I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference. So I want to do something special for all of you today. And if you're on video, you'll be able to follow along. If you're listening with just your ears, I will talk you through it. But I'd like to do a vagus nerve exercise because the vagus nerve carries the majority of our imprinting from our ancestral lineage. And so we come into this world as newborn babies, like a new year. It's a new body, but yet we've got all this old imprinting that we don't even know is there from our lineage. And when we can sort of heal the vagus nerve, begin to release these old ancestral wounds that we don't even know are there, right? They're like these invisible fields that will, why we might be choosing partners that aren't in alignment with where we want to go, why we might undervalue who we are in the world. So I'm going to talk you through this vagus nerve exercise. We're going to do it quick. And you can do this once a day. So doing it once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, like short bursts of time is much more effective than trying to do it for long term. It takes a couple minutes. So you're going to just take your hands, you interlock your fingers in front of you, and then you're going to lift up your hands and put those hands behind your head, sort of at your occiput. And your occiput is that bone that sticks out above where your neck connects, right? So your neck and your head, there's this little bone called the occiput. And if you take your fingers interlocked and your hands interlocked and you place them behind your head, right? That's kind of where your vagus nerve is. And then you have your elbows out like wings. You can do this sitting down, or you can also do it laying down. I don't recommend doing it standing up. And you just kind of look forward, right? Your jaw, your head is sort of on the same plane. Your elbows are a little winged out. You should feel relaxed and kind of centered on your sit bones and comfortable. And then you're just going to take your eyes looking straight forward, and we're going to ask for all the imprinting in your vagus nerve that doesn't allow you to fully love yourself this year, right? And then you're going to take your eyes without moving your head, and you're just going to look gently to the right without straining your eyes. And you're going to ask for all the imprinting in your vagus nerve to release. That has to do with not loving, not loving yourself. And you wait and you look to the right and you keep looking to the right until you yawn, salivate, right? Or swallow. And then you come back to center. We're going to ask for all that imprinting to release out of the vagus nerve. Yeah, there's some energy moving. Really simple. You guys, if you did this for the next 365 days, it'll change your life. And then you're just going to look forward. Same thing, all the DNA, ancestral lineage imprinting stuck in your vagus nerve around not loving yourself fully. And then you're just going to gently look to the left without moving your head. And you're going to do that. There you go. Until you yawn, salivate, or swallow, right? And sometimes when you first do this, it may take a minute, 2 minutes. It could take up to 3 minutes, but you'll start to notice a difference. And then you just ask, once you're done, you can release your hands. And you ask for all that ancestral imprinting to leave your body. Pretty simple. And if you guys do this for the next 365 days, just once a day, it'll reduce your cortisol levels. It will balance your hormones. It will release the fight or flight and the stuck invisible traumas in your body. And it'll get your whole body working more optimally. All right. So at the end of this month, starting January 29th to February 2nd, I am doing a 5-day challenge. It's called the Body Breakthrough Challenge. And we are going to be doing exercises that help you release the trauma, reduce your cortisol levels, and get you in alignment with your body in a way you've never been before. So, what if this is the year that you fall in love with yourself? What is it? This is the year you say yes to you. What if this is the year that you just focus on kindness, focus on peace of mind, focus on rest, right? Because when your heart and head are in alignment, the action comes easy. If the action is forced, it won't last, right? You can certainly try, you can work hard if you want, but the answer lies in working smarter, in working from a rested state. So, my magical friends, I just want to thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time, if this is your 25th time, I so appreciate you. I'm wishing all of you nothing but the best. And reminder, starting next week, we will be tuning in on live on Wednesdays at noon for the next year. So, thank you for being here. Wishing you nothing but the best. And cheers and love to all of you. You're so welcome. Thank you for being here. And if this inspired you, share it, send it to a friend, subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all next week. Cheers to the new year.
Catherine is not a medical practitioner nor a licensed therapist. She has strong opinions and will express them, and truly believes that you are your best advocate for any and every area of your life. If you need medical advice, please consult your physician.